Hello, this is Mr. Jarrett, and in this video tutorial, I am going to continue to show you, so this is part 2, but I'm going to continue to show you how to create your working drawing for your puzzle cube. Okay, so this was page number 1. This is our cover page where we had our exploded view, our assembly, our bill of materials, all of our balloons, our title block, and our annotations down here. So we finished by changing the name of sheet number 1 to our cover page. What we are going to do now is add more pages, and these other pages are going to be for each and every individual part that we had. And our parts are going to be laid out like this. You have your multi-view, you have your isometric, you have an annotation for each one, and you also have your dimensions and any hidden lines that may have been there. Okay? So to do this, we are going to go over here in what I will call your browser, and there's two ways of adding a new sheet. You don't need a all new drawing file. What you need is a new sheet. So you can either click on this button down here, which is Add Sheet, or you can right click where it says Cover Page, and you can select Add Sheet there. Okay. Now it makes a new sheet for you. Okay, and this is a blank sheet. So what we will do to place our views in here, instead of hitting model view, this time we are going to change and we are going to select standard 3 view. Okay, we'll hit the browse button, and you obviously would put in your first part. Since we are all familiar with this demo part, because this is the part that I've used so many times within this class, I'm just going to use the demo part. Okay, you would obviously use your first part. So then you hit open, and it automatically places this in here based off of what the front view was when you drew it. So if you had the wrong front view, you are going to have to fix this by deleting these 3 views. So to do that, you can click and hold up here, drag, and select the views all at one time. Notice mine only selected these 2, so I'll have to do this one again. But now I can hit the delete key on my keyboard, and I'll hit yes to all. And then I'll have to go back and delete this one if I missed one. So select it, hit the delete key, and yes. And now instead of doing the standard 3 view, this is where we are going to do the model view. So it's a little bit more work if you did draw this in not the best front view, but it's still going to have the same end result because we can rotate this around. So I'll click on the model view, hit browse, find that part again, hit open. And now in this time, instead of using the front view here, this is where we can actually look at these different views to try to figure out what is the best view that we want. So I'll scroll down, make sure this preview is selected. Start to think through what view shows the most detail. So you can simply count the amount of blocks that you see. In this current view, I have 5 blocks being shown. In a view like this, I only have 3. So the best view for me would obviously be this one. Now there is different circumstances like this or this. This still shows total of 5 blocks. So what is my best one? Well, you want the one that shows the least amount of hidden lines. Okay, the least amount of hidden lines. So if I turn on my hidden lines, there I have 2 hidden lines. If I change to a different view, here I have none. So this would be my best front view. So once you find the view that you want, you might even find that this actually needs to be rotated. So not flipped left or right, but actually rotated clockwise or counterclockwise. But once I find the actual view that I want, we can click to place it. And then we can hit escape on our keyboard. And if I wanted this rotated this way, then I would go up here to the top and select rotate view, click on my actual drawing that I just placed in, and now I can change this however much I want. So 90 degrees and apply, and do it again. Okay, and close. If I want to do it one more time, instead of 90 degrees, I could do 180 degrees. Close. Once you find your actual view that you want, then we would go up to projected view, and I would move my mouse up, move my mouse over, and then I would move my mouse up on an angle. Now notice this does not look the nicest. This is just a demonstration of how to actually fix your drawings and put them in the best front view if you did not. Now this, however, is not the best front view. So I am going to delete all of this. I'm going to put my views back in the correct form. What we're going to do next is add our isometric up here. You don't actually need to insert a whole nother part. What you can actually do is just project off of your front view. So if I hit the projected view tool, I'll click on my front view here, and when I move my mouse out to the right, it projects my isometric. Okay. Now our isometric, we actually want this to be a different display style. Because you notice your multi-view is a display style where it shows the wireframe. For our isometric, we want the shaded edges, okay, shaded with edges. Okay, we can keep the scale or the parent scale the same. Okay, and you want to change this to high quality. I'm going to move this up to the right and click. Now I can drag this over here, so it's kind of out of our way a little bit. Hit the green check. And our front, top, and right, just to double check that it actually has hidden lines showing, because it may not, I am going to double click on the front view. And if I scroll down, notice that this is hidden lines remove. I want hidden lines visible. Okay. Now I will hit the green check. And in this actual part, notice that it didn't really change anything. Well, that's because when I drew this part, I drew it in the best front view, and it tried to eliminate the amount of hidden lines. So by drawing it like this, I don't have any hidden lines. Okay? Your part might not be as simple as this. So you may have hidden lines. And you'll notice that it might even have popped up, hidden lines may have popped up in your top and your right. Just to kind of show you why, is because your front view is your most important one. And if I double clicked on my top view here and looked at some of these settings, notice you have a different box here now. And this different box that's checked says use parent style. Well, in SolidWorks, it kind of considers whatever you put in first, the parent, and then anything that comes after that is the child. So they consider this a child and this the parent, because this is the first thing you put in. So if I actually change this, this is also the child of this. Well, since I changed the settings here for these to show hidden lines, it recognizes these as showing hidden lines. Okay, that's just to kind of go into it a little bit deeper so you understand some things. Now, if I hit the green check, I can start to annotate this with my dimensions. So going up to the Annotate tab, I now am going to be able to use the Smart Dimension and all of the things that it has underneath it. So if I click this drop down, notice that it has your normal dimensions, your vertical and horizontal, but it also has the baseline dimension. And I taught you about baseline before. Notice this picture here. So this is what we are actually going to use. So if I click baseline, this wants me to pick a view, okay, and it also wants me to pick my baseline. So if I click on the left, right, now it's going to ask me to do the next couple lines. Well, if I clicked on this line, it would be going over top of my sketch, which is breaking a rule. Okay, now you can do that if you can't do it in another view. But on this case, I can actually dimension from here to here on my top view. So I'm going to skip this line and I'm going to go to the next one, which is this, and then this. Okay. Notice automatically spaces it out, automatically dimensions it, makes it very easy to do. Okay, so I'll hit the green check. And now since I missed this view, okay, or this line here, that's where I'll just come back in with the smart dimension. And you can either click the single line, or you could click your start line and your stop line and place your dimension in yourself. I hit the green check. And I'm going to work my way around using my baseline tool, following those rules. If you forget the rules, remember you can always go back to Unit 1 when we learn dimensioning, and you can look at all the dimensioning rules. So I'm going to do my height next by clicking on the baseline, the first line, and the second line. And remember, the overall height, that is called your size dimension. Anything that is located within the actual part, those are your feature dimensions, okay, or your location dimensions. So you have a location and your size. Right? So here's my height, here's my width. Next is your depth. That's what everybody always forgets about, your depth. So I'm going to go back up, get my baseline tool. And I can either do this on the top view or the right side view. Just make sure you're still following the rules. And extension lines, that's these lines, they can cross over one another. That doesn't really matter. You just don't want to cross over your object lines. Okay, so I'll click on my first line here, my second line, and my third line. Then I'll hit the green check. And I can double check myself, ask a neighbor, whatever you need to do here to make sure that you have all the dimensioning done and it's not breaking any rules, meaning you're not over dimensioning, you're not dimensioning outside of the parts, you're not dimensioning over top of the sketch if you don't need to, and you're not dimensioning to hidden lines unless you absolutely need to. And the last thing here is to add a note. So I'll go up to the note. I'll click down here in front of my front view, stretch this a little bit, change this to 18, and here I'm going to name this part red, or whatever color your part is, multi-view. And if you have to stretch this box a little bit more, go right ahead. Then hit the green check, get a note tool again. I'll come up here underneath my isometric. I'm going to stretch this, make this 18, and I'll type in part 1 red, or whatever color yours is, and isometric. And I'll hit the green check. Now, this first page is done, so I would just add another sheet, and I would continue on with all of my parts. So adding another sheet, remember you can go right here, or you can click on the sheet by right-clicking and hitting Add Sheet, and continue on. What might also be helpful for you is to name all of your sheets. So remember, we named this cover page 1. So I will kind of double click on here, and I will name this whatever the part color is. After every single page, you might actually want to go up and hit File Save, just in case, so you don't lose any of your work. All right, and that's it.